Good morning. My name is MightyStream, and today is July the 26th. I hope that you're having a beautiful morning. I am. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. This is our Hood Recovery Services, and I am looking forward to hearing from you at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into our spiritual principle a day in a meditation. I'm looking forward to doing this with you. Okay. Wow. It is entitled Open-Mindedness Leads to Understanding. Can you tell a difference between these meditations and the Just for the Day meditation? Like even the titles of them are so much more, so much lengthier. So it can be intimidating, but we're going to get through this. Okay. We're going to definitely get through this. Okay. Let's read it together. Open-mindedness leads to understanding. Page 215. Our fellowship matures and develops as each of us brings our increasing understanding to the table. We grow from one another's experience when we are willing to share and to listen with an open mind. Living Clean, Chapter 3, a spiritual, not religious program. When we come into recovery, some of us dust off a faith tradition that we were raised with. Others develop their own framework for spiritual beliefs. Those of us with an anti-religious bias bristled at seeing God sprinkled throughout the steps. What have we gotten ourselves into? Let's reread that. Those of us with an anti-religious bias bristled at seeing God sprinkled throughout the steps. What have we gotten ourselves into? We were relieved when we learned that we could pursue any kind of spirituality that suited us. As we learn about the traditions, the importance of making room for everyone becomes clear. We do our best to avoid lingo associated with any particular path when we share in meetings. We try to convey our experiences with spiritual growth in language that's inclusive, understandable, and respectful to those with different beliefs. When we use NA language to express our deepening spirituality, we strengthen the link between our spiritual lives and what we've gained from living the 12 steps. Over time, we all make peace with the fact that spirituality is central to the NA program. We each arrive at our own sense of spirituality that works. We listen to addicts share the integral part their spiritual awakenings have played in cementing their foundation of recovery. Our sponsors, friends, and predecessors offer their insights on our spiritual, not religious program, and we gain a deeper understanding of our own beliefs as we work steps and apply tradition. Intimate conversations help us articulate what we believe and allow us to see how much our paths converge. NA language helps us rise above the barriers that naming names and rituals might create. One member shared, our spiritual growth enables us to listen to others with an open mind. This leads to a greater understanding of ourselves, others, and the world around us. We keep coming back and we see how this program works in each other's lives. We have faith, above all, in the process of recovery we found in NA. I will listen with an open mind and an open heart when other members share their experiences with spirituality, coming from a place of understanding and curiosity. You know, that's a beautiful meditation, a spiritual principle of open-mindedness leading to understanding, which I believe is fundamental. When I first got into the program, people were still very much, it was an era where people were still very much religious in our community. And you only had, you know, when you would hear people speak about God in the meeting, it was almost a certain sense because of the lingo that was used that they were Christian or attached to a church in some kind of way. People were really at that time prone to name their higher power, their God of their understanding, which I choose to call Confucius, Buddha, Jesus, Yahweh, Jehovah, Allah. People were really at that point, I believe, very sure that they could have a God of their own understanding, and they didn't think that it was, unprincipled in any way to name their higher power. This particular meditation is powerful because it emphasizes that we try to refrain from using lingo that would specifically point out who or what our higher power is, because we don't want people to get confused and think that this is religious. And each of us have a part in that, right? You know how they talk about the group is autonomous, except for when to do so affects NA or other groups, right? As a whole. So, sometimes the culture of a group can make leeway for other individuals to do that. And I believe the home group that I was attached to when I first came around, that was a culture. But over the years, it has changed. It's changed because of people's individual experience, whereas maybe you were Buddhist, maybe your lifestyle of prayer, maybe that was what you believed in, but at some point in time their experience showed that the religiosity was not enough, and some of them relapsed and had to come back, and some of them didn't relapse, but they found out that the virtues that they were standing on weren't really as cemented as they were trying to make it seem. Like they would come in and be very dogmatic about their beliefs, knowing that everyone had a different opinion and had an entitlement to a different opinion. But then they found out that, all of the smoke that they were making about their belief didn't necessarily set them apart and make them better. And so they changed. They became more humble, more willing to have an open mind and to listen to other people. And I believe today that that is really where this is headed, where the culture of, it's always been the proposed culture of Narcotics Anonymous. It was the groups or individuals that seem to not want to grasp that. I can remember being in a lot of religious debate, because the moment I let it be known what faith system I came to the rooms with, it felt like I was antagonized because of that. But then I found out that if I told them I have a right to my higher power and let's drop it, I had a right to a God of my own understanding, and I don't have to debate that with you. Like, that has absolutely nothing to do with me coming to meetings and needing to get help. It should never be the case for anyone. You have a right to have a higher power of your own understanding. And you have a right to keep that to yourself. You have a right to share it with whomever is willing to listen to you share about it. But you don't have a right to impose it on other people. And that's where the beauty of this program comes from for me. I really love that. And I hope that you will love it too, that you will start looking at the ways in which you support this understanding of this being a program that is spiritual and not religious, and look at the ways that you don't. Because the ways that you don't are going to be the things that people remember the most. unfortunately, people are attracted to the dark, right? People are attracted to the air in your life more than they are the love in your life. You can have 10 good years of never sinning against anybody and loving everyone, and then have one bad moment in a meeting, and people will always remember that one bad moment in the meeting. And they will hold your feet to the fire on that. So unfortunately, I can't say let's just look at the good and how you apply it. We also have to look at how we don't apply it. How do you introduce yourself? In your introduction in the meeting, is it religious in nature, the way that you do it? When you're agreeing with someone that is sharing, which is not necessarily important to do, but if you're showing affirmation, are you saying, amen, you better preach about it, right? How are you talking and how are you acting within your group, within meetings? What is being conveyed about who you are? And is your stability with your spirituality sound enough, firm enough, that you can make room for other people's spirituality? Or are you saying that you're secure in your spirituality, but really you aren't? You're saying that I'm never going to deny God for nobody, right? Nobody asked you to come to Narcotics Anonymous and deny God. No, we talk about God all the time. No one. Oh, you mean that you want to be able to say Jesus is Lord in your share. Okay. Well, nobody's going to shut you up, right? No one's going to tell you, not to do it, because you should know not to. But because you're dogmatic and you're passionate about making sure that you don't deny God in front of any man, but that is kind of misconstrued, because you're saying that my faith is so strong that I want to make sure people understand and see and know that I have this faith. For an hour and a half, that has to be your stance. Is that strong as you think it is? Right? And you can go to the other end of it, right? And never talk about your understanding of God, or never even show that you have a God in a meeting, and people will wonder, is this person spiritual? Because we're all trained in the past that anytime you said the word God, it had to be religious. And we need to come away from that. We need to be able to make room for other people's understanding of God without feeling like they're challenging us or that we need to challenge them. That's why we're not interested in what your religion is or what your politics is, what side of the aisle. There was a time I didn't even understand what your side of the aisle was. I wasn't really even into politics until former President Barack Obama ran. I wasn't even into politics. I couldn't have told you what being a Democratic meant. I thought, in my mind, I thought being Democratic was power to the people, right? And so I associated that with my culture as a African American. But it wasn't until he ran that I started to understand the true history of my ethnicity. And I started to understand the division between the different political parties. And I became, first I got swept away with it, and then I got swept away from it. Like, the person that I want to be in charge is the person that loves God and isn't afraid to show that in decision making. And so I found out that I was neither Republican, Democratic, or liberal. I was theocratic. I was about a theocratic government. And so that's what I stand on. But I developed that, and it's nobody's business. I changed it, and it's nobody's business. So we're not interested in your political party. We're not even interested in your gender. Only to the extent that you don't allow yourself to be in a sponsorship type relationship where you would be ravaged or lustful, or someone might be lustful or tempted to be lustful with you because you're opposite gender, right? But I truly believe that if you are female gender, that you do better with female gender for sponsorship. I believe that if you're LGBTQ female, interested in females, then you might be better off with a male sponsor. Only you can decide that. I mean, we have all these suggestions and we try to make like they're written in stone, and they're not. They're not. If it's not practical, it's not spiritual. If I'm a female and I'm attracted to other women sexually, and then I hear people say that women should stick with women and men stick with men when it comes to sponsorship, what good is sticking with other women gonna do for me if I am attracted to women sexually? What good would that do for me? Yeah, I might find other females that are in the same boat that I'm in, where we think the same, right? Other LGBTQ females. And that probably could be a great sponsorship relationship. But unless I am a person that has a firm hold on my sexual identity and my lust issues and stuff like that, then it might really be better for me, right? And this is just an example, right? But I'm saying that your gender is not the issue. Your religion is not the issue. Your political party, your creed, your nationality, these are not the issues. These are things that are subcultures of who we are, which is we are addicts seeking recovery. And that is our commonality. And we can help each other better than anyone else can help us. And we have to mature enough in our recovery to recognize these facts, that everyone has a right to have a God or no God of their own understanding. That's not going to change the literature. There's a whole group of people in the other fellowship want to take God out of their literature. Everything they standing on and have benefited from for all these years. Now there's a group of people that want to go back and rewrite history. Cancel culture of the 12-step programs. And I don't see that ever happening. And that hasn't ever happened, and it's not going to happen here. But there are secular meetings that are entitled such, and therefore agnostic and atheists. And there's some agnostic and atheists that could care less. They go to all the meetings they've been going to. They don't need a sub meeting, right, to go to so they can feel more comfortable because they know their right to not believe in God is up to them. No one cares about that. I tell people just plain, nobody cares who or what your higher power is. Nobody's even interested in that. Does your relationship with your higher power, if you have one, make you a better person? That's what we need to find out. If you're a tree hugger and that's what you believe in, does that make you a better person? You know, and I don't say that dismissively. I say that, is it truly making you a better person? Then that's what matters. And if it is, then recognize that someone else's belief might be different, but that's not what's important here. What's important here is that we have a fellowship full of unconditional love, and that we are nurturing when you are sharing your hurts. That we want to share with you not only your hurts, but your joys, your laughter, and your fears. We are members who share the same values, beliefs, and traditions, and that we have the commonality of being addicts in recovery. That alone is a power greater than myself. That alone is a power greater than myself. I hope you've enjoyed this meditation. I have. I could talk about this topic forever because it is firmly connected to my core values. But I won't. I will spare you, and I will say to you that I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I will be talking to you tomorrow.